Hey guys, welcome back to another Health Freedom Iowa Thursday Night Live. I'm Joni Abbott and I'm here with Lisa Eveleth from LiveFit with Lupus. It's an organization based here in Iowa that helps people around the world deal with and have support for their autoimmune diseases. Not just lupus, that's Lisa's story, and she's going to tell us more about that. So Lisa Eveleth, oh my gosh, I've known her for a long time. I've been doing stuff with LiveFit with Lupus for over 5 years now. Dancing with like local dance competitions and emceeing your events. And it's just such a great organization that's helped so many people. So Lisa, welcome to Health Freedom Iowa.
Well, thank you, Joni, and thank you so much for always supporting us. You've been such a great support. Always come in shining and show a light for our foundation. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. You're welcome. You do so many things throughout Iowa. Now you're based in Scott County, but you can help anybody throughout our state or even around the world. Let's talk a little bit about how LiveFit with Lupus got started.
Sure. Well, I felt like there was a need for us in the community. There wasn't really anything out there, you know, after you have a diagnosis from a doctor or not, if you're just kind of alone feeling sick, where do you turn to? I mean, you kind of turn to the internet and there's so much information, it almost mind boggles you. So I guess I just felt like, because I kind of, you know, felt alone in the beginning when I was diagnosed and I didn't have any support. And so I wanted to provide that for people and not go through what I did in the beginning and those dark stages of, you know, first getting that diagnosis again or not. I don't care if someone has a diagnosis or not. If they're just not feeling well, that's good enough to help them.
So let's go back. Can we go to the dark place for just a second? Would you mind if we go there where you first got diagnosed? Like, what were the symptoms that you were experiencing? Because lupus and autoimmune diseases look different in every person, and sometimes you just don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. Well, it was getting hard even to walk. This sounds crazy, but to walk on the concrete, even just, you know, around like to go to in school. I just remember even, you know, even to push, you know, like an elevator button to turn on the faucet, to get out of bed was really tough. I was sleeping so much. I was just losing weight, dropping weight, and my hair was coming out. I was probably down to 80 pounds at the time.
How old were you then?
Well, before all that, I mean, I guess I should go backwards even. So a lot of it started when I was very young, just getting bloody noses, things like that, little symptoms. And then I was 14 when I had some bad symptoms, starting with more it's called idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura, which is actually a symptom. The thrombocytopenia is a symptom of lupus, but I didn't get a diagnosis yet. So I got the diagnosis of ITP, if you've heard that. Now they kind of, instead of idiopathic, they usually say immune thrombocytopenia purpura. So that is considered an autoimmune disease. So
the purpura, that indicates a rash.
It's actually blood disorder.
Blood-based rash? Okay.
Yeah, so so basically is what that is, the thrombocytopenia and the purpura. It's a blood disease, but your platelets are not, you don't have enough platelets to clot your blood.
Okay.
So that was my first issue, and that's pretty serious. I mean, I ended up having to do an emergency surgery because my platelet count had dropped so low that, you know, it's kind of like do something or just die. So I had to do a splenectomy exploratory surgery when I was 16. Wow. So pretty bad. I was put on high steroids and all that first, and it just didn't work for me. And so some people have success with just the steroid treatments, and but I ended up going full force with the splenectomy, and it actually worked. And then, you know, a few years later, I had kind of a remission, I would say. And then everything exasperated again, and my symptoms, different symptoms started with my kidneys. I had kidney failure. I had cerebritis, which is brain inflammation. That was pretty scary. I had a lot of TIAs, mini strokes, and I was very sick.
Wow. Sick. Yeah. I mean, you know, every time you share your story with me, I learn some other major element to your story that I didn't know before, because there's just layers and layers and layers of
I
things.
know, it's like I need a book in front of me to kind of like, oh, this is the chronological order, because it's,
Yeah.
you forget how sick, like I suppose like when someone has a baby, they forget the pain and the
Yeah.
suffering of that, and then they have another one.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I think of it as analogy wise, because it was very painful. And I lived a life of pain for so long, and you forget how painful it was when you're living in the moment.
Yeah.
And so it was tough. A lot of experiences, not just one. It was kind of ongoing, and it was a roller coaster ride. And even when I felt like I was doing things right, a switch would turn on, and I'd develop some type of virus or whatever that exacerbated my lupus more. And I mean, I've had the West Nile virus, the CMV virus, hepatitis A virus. I mean, there's just so many things, and some of them I can't even pronounce, to be honest. So because I don't have a spleen, that's my problem, is that that tends to flush everything out and help your immune system. And I don't have a spleen, so that doesn't help me in that sort. And it's hard to get rid of virus once I get it. And it's easier to get it. So it doesn't help much. But I mean, at the time, I guess if I would have known differently, but at the time it was a serious condition, and the doctors thought that was the best, way to, because I was very sick and it was very scary then, even, as a young kid. So had to do something.
Yeah. And I mean, our bodies are so resilient. Even like the fact that you're sitting here with just even the things that you've shared with me and the things that I know that you have done, and we'll get into those here in a minute. I just look at you and I was like, you're a walking miracle, Lisa. And no wonder why you feel so called and led to help other people, because you've been through it. You've been through it a lot.
Yes. I guess I feel blessed. And that sounds funny, because I would be asked by people, why aren't you bitter? Especially when I was very sickly all the time, and I still had a smile. I still tried to live life as full as I could, which was tough. But there always is a dark side to it all, and there's many days, that weren't so fun, just lying in bed alone thinking, when is it ever going to end? Not just, you think about a flu for 3 days lying in bed, you get tired of doing that. Well, think of a year or more doing that consistently, and having to have others help you and rely on other people all the time to get you a glass of water, to get your meds for you, to get your food for you, to help you to go to the bathroom, carry you places, wheel you around in a wheelchair. I mean, it was a different life. I'm so independent, and that was really hard. Part of it is, just relying on other people. And it's important to do that, but it's hard to.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, autoimmune disease changes our life. And with so many people right now living with one, especially children, it changes your everyday ability to have this high quality and free reign to go do all the things that you think about doing or wanting to go do. What were some things that kept you, I mean, those dark places are scary, and yet it's necessary for you to go through it, because that's part of the resiliency process is when you're in those spaces, coming out of it makes it even sweeter. You look back and you're like, wow, that was such a dark, nasty place. And you don't want to stay there. You go there, but you don't want to stay there. How did you not stay there?
Yeah, that is tough. I guess I kind of think I came out of the womb. I think I'm very much like my dad in that respect. I came out of the womb at a positive spirit. I felt like there's always hope. And so I feel as though that's what I'm supposed to give people, is hope. I had to live it in order to give that hope to someone, that I really reached the bottom. I mean, and then I can come out of the bottom and come up on the top. And it's a mind game, a constant mind game. I journaled a lot, and kind of gives me chills right now, because I do recall many people, have seen some of my journaling, and, Matt's seen my journaling, and it's just like to think back, like even the times where only I felt that experience inside. And it was hard to share that always with someone on the outside because you didn't want to worry your mom, your dad, or your sibling. You know, just you kind of kept that to yourself a lot because that was, didn't want to worry anybody. This really how I was feeling. And I think it's just, it was a constant battle to always think tomorrow's going to be a better day. Well, tomorrow I'll feel better. Tomorrow's going to be the day, you know, and just living for tomorrow.
Yeah. To keep
hoping and praying. And my faith, I always, you know, I prayed a lot to get better, but I have to say, I also prayed to not be here because it was tough sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
If it's going to be like this, I'm like, just please, God, take me. You know, I was tired of it.
Yeah.
Really tired.
Yeah. And, you know, I was just having a conversation today with a friend of mine about kind of like near-death experiences. And when people get to that point and you no longer fear death, I think there's something really unique that happens in your spirit with finding and refining this will to live. All of this, you know, it's like when you no longer fear death, your will to live is almost stronger.
Yeah. And I didn't fear death. I wasn't afraid. I was ready. If that makes sense to anyone. And I did have an experience. And after that, it seemed to, you know, things changed. And I guess that, you know, I was kind of told by someone that I had a will to live, and that I had a purpose, and that I was supposed to stay here.
Yeah.
And so I think that's when I started kind of fighting more, because I was pretty sick at the time when this happened. I was in Iowa City, in fact, and I remember seeing, it sounds strange to people, but it happened to me, you know. I don't feel it was a dream. I felt it was real. I was watching myself lying in bed, and I had my cousin sitting on my side of my bed talking to me, and I was kind of ready to go, and she knew it, and she had been sick before as well. And so she understood the experience that I was feeling. And, but things happened and changed, and I started fighting. You know, there was many nights I was in ICU and wondering if I was going to make it or not, my parents. And it was tough to watch everyone, because I think that people don't realize, like, if someone's in a coma or someone's out of it, you do hear things. You do hear people. And so it's very important to talk to people when they're in that state, because they can come out of it.
Wow. Do you know that, I mean, for as long as we've known each other, this is some real talk, because we've not even had some of these conversations yet. Like, we're always so busy and doing things and helping people and, you know, shining all the positive lights on it. But this is a real side of, you know, devastating autoimmune disease. So you got back into your body, girl, and you fought, and you became a personal trainer, and you do races every year for LiveFit with Lupus. You have danced. You have been in bodybuilding competitions. I'm like, who is this woman?
Well, thanks. Yeah. It was different. I do feel as though when I'm healthy and strong, that feels like health to me. Like, fitness means health to me when I'm able to do those kind of things. So I think that has to be a part of my life always, because then I know I've fought through it and I can do it, you know?
Yes. And so you are like the poster child for live fit with Lupus. And when did you start this organization?
Let's see, we started, it's been about 8 years ago, because we had our 7th annual golf tournament this year. We were able to do that with COVID and everything. And it felt like a normal actual tournament. So that was nice. So this was our 7th one. So it's been 8 years since we started. I can't believe it. And then, I mean, of course, it took time before things really got for real. So a little before that, planning and things, until everything came to fruition. So yeah. So you started out with you, and you started out with helping some other people with LiveFit or with Lupus. But I remember too, one of the things I recall about you, because I met you in 2013, I think, that you were super interested in understanding people's gut microbiome. And then you were also really interested in making sure that
they understood like you help a lot of celiac patients as well, because that's another autoimmune disease that's on the rise in our country. And oftentimes that's a whole nother change in life with, changing our diet and how we shop. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So I do recommend with all my autoimmune patients to do gluten-free for various reasons, as far as that, inflammatory response that gluten can create in one's body, whether you have celiac or lupus or RA or, whatever your diagnosis is, it still has benefited and been proven to benefit people with any type of autoimmune. Gluten is different than it used to be. And I know you've probably heard that, and we all have heard that, but there is some facts to that. And I think that's important. Nutrition is key. Nutrition is medicine. And it's so important to get the nutrition right, because your life can be so much better with the right nutrition. It's fuel in your body. And if you don't give it the right fuel, it's not going to perform the way you want it to.
Right. So when did you start making that connection? Because, you were sick as a teen, you lost your spleen, you have been in and out of the hospital and in and out of ICU. When did that start to click for you that you could possibly have a higher quality life using food as medicine and using food as nutrition, to help your body?
Right. Well, because I guess, I thought about it because I started learning more about the gut, and that was super important, and started studying more on that. It's like your second brain. And there's so much celiac in my family, which one of my docs thought, that at first I had celiac, but then I had all these other symptoms with the brain, the kidneys, and I'm like, it can't be just that. It has to be. So then it was like played off as the gut was happening. The things with the gut were related to my lupus, but I'm like, it has to be connected. Just whatever weak part of your body happens. And, I think there's a marketing board that says, hey, let's diagnose. If you have joint pain, let's call it rheumatoid arthritis. If you have, lupus kind of covers it all, but like if you have MS, it's like part of your nervous system, and, that type of involvement. If you have celiac, it's gut involvement, but I really think all of it is gut involvement. And so I started learning more about that, and there was celiac in my family. So I'm like, I went to see a holistic health practitioner, and she suggested, also, I'd already started gluten-free before I started seeing her, and she suggested that I continue doing that, where at first my doctor's like, well, I don't think you really need to, but okay.
Yeah.
But I do need to. And I know now, after you go gluten-free and you start feeling better and cleaning up your system, and there's so many things other than just gluten-free, of course.
Right.
But that's just one big factor, I believe. And then I just started really looking into other things as far as nutrition, micronutrients, vitamin D3, how important. Didn't realize I was so low. Nobody tests it, nobody looks into that. And so I noticed, how low I was, and researching that and getting my vitamin D level up to the top of the level. 30 to 100 is the blood level, but 30 is not sufficient, where sometimes they say that is sufficient for people, and it's not. Especially if you're dealing with some compromised immune system, I feel as though on a higher level, like mine right now is what was 103, and I do better with it at a high level, and that's where I try to remain there. So that's important key, I found, in not just supplementation, but the nutrition of real live food.
Yeah. What were some of the things that you started eating that surprised you that you had not eaten prior? I always like looking back because your taste buds change. And so I remember when I was a kid, I was like, oh, Brussels sprouts. And I would like chew them up and then spit them in a napkin so my parents couldn't see. And then I learned how to cook them differently as an adult. And I'm like, oh my gosh, just eat them all the time.
Same. I didn't like Brussels sprouts. Sorry, Mom, but she boiled them. They're mushy. I like them crunchy.
Me too, in the oven. Yeah, with healthy fats like olive oil. Yeah, and you just even salt, pepper, and a little bit of garlic, and that crispy pink.
Oh yes, balsamic vinaigrette with it. That's good.
Yes.
So just different ways of cooking things, and even broccoli you can kind of do like that too. Make it taste like pizza seasonings and things like that. tastes good.
Whole new world on that, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think it is the way you cook things. So yeah, Brussels sprouts is definitely one of them. You know, it's funny because I always, when I went to, like, my sister loved going to Italian restaurants, and I always was kind of like, oh, I always feel icky when I go, but oh, whatever. Not one to say much, like, or just go with the flow. And so, it just makes sense now. I think back and how miserable I felt after eating pasta or whatever. So that definitely, it's like you start listening to your body. It's telling you something, but you have to listen. Like, why don't I feel well?
Right. And it's communicating with you. And that's what I like to tell a lot of people is, pay attention to what it's saying. We're just so disconnected from understanding that level of communication. It's like it's a whole nother language to us because we've become so disconnected from our bodies. Once we start to reconnect with our bodies and knowing how to interpret the communications it's giving, it's like, oh, light bulb.
Yes, I agreed.
So let's say I had an autoimmune disease and I would call you on the phone and be like, Lisa, I'm feeling it. Life is really getting me down right now with this thing. What do I do? What would happen? How would you tell me what to do?
Well, I'd want your whole history of everything, and just to kind of, so that I can put the pieces together, the puzzle that's going on. And I would definitely start, by suggesting, since I'm not a medical professional, I do have a nutrition degree and all of that, but I would suggest certain things to help with their gut and their microbiome, to start healing that first. Really, I mean, it's just like, you have to, like, when my dad was an architect, so I always think of this, like, you have to, like, if you're going to redo a building, you have to get rid of the old stuff and then to bring in and get it prepared for the new to, build that building. So I think it's the same thing with our gut. We've got to get rid of the icky stuff and then bring in the good flora back. So that's,
so when you
without getting into too much detail. That's
oh my gosh, I'm
yeah,
nerd. I'm like, let's go there.
I know. No, go ahead.
So when, like, because I'm sure it's like, we have this sick picture in our mind of when you being sick, and then there's this bodybuilding, and this fitness competition, and you're in a bikini and you look amazing. And it's like, how did you get from there to there? What were the steps that you took?
Well, that's where I think that, nutrition started with, I started eating a lot more fish, chicken, but healthy fish. You got to be careful a little bit with some fish, that. Just, I think I was always a good eater growing up. That's what was surprising to me. So I could go into more detail with that, but I don't know how much detail I should go into as far as my diagnosis and what happened. Because I had to redo my vaccinations that I had done already from kindergarten, and it really seemed to exacerbate things after that happened.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's really your liver.
Yeah, so yeah, it was just like too much. Like, I think if anything, if they were going to redo them, we shouldn't have done them all in one day. I mean, it was just too much. My body might have had that predisposition, possibly with autoimmunity, but it just set it over the edge. And so it was too much. I think that was a big part of it. So I had to get all the toxicity out. So I did a lot of cleansing, cleansing the toxins and then rebuilding. And sometimes you feel so sick doing that. It's tough. So you kind of, like, for me, I had to go slow because my body was obviously toxic. It was just so ill. And I tried a lot of supplements.
When you first get started, right? You're just like, that's all you feel like you're buying are supplements because you don't know how to cook yet. Like, we just start thinking if I take more vitamins, and then we don't know what companies are reputable and we don't understand synthetics, and it's a journey. Yeah. And that's why, like, you're taking out that guesswork for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a journey. It's a long journey. So that's what's nice. That's what I like to, like, I don't want to have people experiment all this time, and then you get to this point and you get kind of tired of it. And then you're like, I just want to eat what I want. Like, I don't want to worry about it so much, because it was a constant, like, you had to really think about everything you're putting in your body. But I was wanting to be well. So I would have paid $1 million, $1 billion to be healthy. Yeah. I'm telling you, like, if you don't have your health, you have nothing. So, I mean, honestly, I would have done anything for it. And so, you just kind of keep that mindset that this is what I'm going to do. And then things start happening to your body and things are, start changing. And I think everyone's a little bit different, but you still have to find, what works for you too. But I still think that in connection with everyone, that the gut is the place to start. You have to be careful in the beginning. I know you probably know this, that as far as, so much, fruits and vegetables can be too much at first, just because your body's not used to breaking down. It doesn't have the digestive enzymes, it just, your body's so ill that it takes time. So it had to be in small doses. And then the more you have of those micronutrients, the better you get. So it was easy to supplement on some things because, just making it so I could get more out of my greens, that sometimes it's hard to eat all those greens. So smoothies are nice to throw spinach in and, kale and things like that in because it's easier to get more in.
Yeah.
Because if you had to eat a whole thing of salad all the time.
Trust me, you'd be gagging. I've done it because I did like 40 days of something, and it was like,
I remember, yes.
Yeah, and I was like by the 40th day, or no, I'm sorry, by day like 32, those last 8 days were
You're like, I'm tapped out.
Yeah, I was like gagging, choking salad down, and I thought, this isn't it. This isn't it either. And all the experiments I do on myself, this wasn't it either. It wasn't balanced.
Yeah, for sure. It takes, it takes trial and error. So I feel as though, I've taken the guesswork out a little bit, to help other people that way find out what works. And then still, like my body's not as sensitive and not so hyperactive as it once was because it's, it's like, okay, I've given it the right micronutrients and it's like, okay, I can calm down a bit, but stress can still act up and cause things to happen. And
yes.
And so I do have to be careful right now. Life has been very stressful the last 5 years.
That last part cut out, so I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, I just said I have to be, watch. Stress can always cause, exasperation of any manifestations of my diseases, my autoimmune stuff. So it's been pretty stressful with Dad's estate still almost 3 years later. And then he was ill, 2 years before that. So I traveled so much, and traveling really takes a toll because no matter where you go and travel, everything is different. The food is different there. Your gut's a little different. I mean, even the local produce, all of it is different no matter where you go. So, it's just been a little bit of a toll on my body, but I've managed to come out ahead, just knowing what I have learned in the past and trying to stay with that. So,
Lisa, you are amazing. I'm telling you, you are like, she's like the Energizer Bunny. She just is. You just keep going and going, and you just touch so many lives along the way. I mean, even though you've been so stressed, like, with your dad's passing, I've watched you operate. Like, you're traveling, you're coming back, you're helping organize events, you're traveling, you're coming back, you're on phone calls, and we make it work, and you make it work, and it all happens and it all comes through. And then you sit back and breathe a little bit, and then you get going again. And it's like, it's unreal to me. So I just love knowing that I've had you to point people to for all of these years. LiveFit with Lupus is just such a fabulous organization. And so tell us a little bit about your vision too, because you have a really wonderful vision for where you want to take this.
I know COVID's kind of putting a damper on things right now.
Everything.
And thank you. I do want to tell you first really quickly that I'm so just proud of you as well. And I've just always adored you and you as a human being inside and out. And I am impressed with your knowledge and everything that you've gone through as well. So I just adore you.
Well, there's a reason we all get put together on this planet like this. And I think I never believe in coincidence anymore. I do not believe in accidents. I think that when we are, when the helpers show up and the people who are willing and who are passionate, then there is nothing that we can't accomplish. And there's hardly anybody that we can't help who wants to be helped. Like, that's it. So we just need armies and teams of people and the helpers show up. And, being on the same similar team, it's amazing. You have empowered so many women in our community as well. So, I mean, this is what happens, ladies, when we eliminate any kind of stupid competition stuff. I mean, we see it, but it's like, we don't have time for that. We are on a mission. And when we build one another up, it's just such a beautiful example of how much you can possibly do with so much synergy, and it just exponentially grows. So, girl, I can't love you enough right now.
I totally agree with you. It's amazing to just work alongside of you and have you support us, and just thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. You're welcome. There's just so much love back and forth. Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't I? So let's talk about this vision, because you love this idea of having an immersion experience, of having like a health house for people to go to, so they know how to immerse themselves in a healthy experience, and then they can take that and take it with them when they go back home again.
Absolutely. Yeah, so my vision is to have I like the idea of calling it a home, a place where people can come and learn all the elements of health that they need, because take them away from their toxic environment. It could be where they have to buy Oreos for their kids or whatever that is, because kids don't need Oreos, but take them out of that element and then, and teach them, but live in that and teach them by living in that. So I think if we could have all types of different health practitioners in that home and teach them how to eat, how to cook, so that they can eat that way, and make it not so complicated, make it simplified, so they don't feel so overwhelmed because they're getting this information, that, and give them a template, so that they have, this is the way we do things. This is the way that's going to get you into your health journey. It's going to be a journey, but stay with them along the way. And that's definitely what I want.
I love that idea. It's like rehab. It's like a health rehab facility.
Yeah, and they talk about those boot camp places or whatever. Like, it would be a boot camp for health,
Yeah, like, let's get you out of your space, help you change that mindset, have all the support that you need. Because, this is the thing that we don't really talk too much about natural health. Everybody's like, you got to detox this and you got to detox that. And nobody talks about the emotional aspect hardly that you go through when you're detoxing. And like our emotional connection to food, from even like a social standpoint, you literally feel like you're going to lose your mind sometimes. You're doing protocols, and sometimes you're having detox symptoms, whether it's headaches or fatigue, or, you're shedding parasites or yeast. And that can be emotionally, like, who do you talk to about that?
Absolutely. And that's what we want to provide, is that emotional, physical support as well. It's so important. Mentally, you've got to like have it together.
Yeah.
And I think that the people that, when I was in that situation, when I was just, somebody help me, searching for answers. You want to get people that really, really need us, to help them and to have a quality of life. I mean, it's not worth, it's just sad to see people have to struggle so much and just exist. And, I really want people to live their life to the extreme, the fullest that they can.
Yeah. It's like live fit, live full with lupus.
I know. Exactly.
You really have a great vision. So do you have an idea of like where you want to base this place out of? I mean, would you want to do it here in the Quad Cities and then build from there?
Yeah. So I want a home base here in the Quad Cities, because that's where we are, and that's where we started. And then from there, I'd like to have centers all over the country, maybe all over the world. Who knows?
You never know. I know there's still so much. And I really think this is a great model because the way healthcare is, well, I don't call it healthcare right now, but the way our Western allopathic model is in patient care, in general care, it's lacking. It's so deficient. It's as nutrient deficient as the soil. It's as nutrient deficient as our people. And so if we have a healthcare system that's just as broken and the people are an accurate reflection of that, something has to change. And I think more people are starting to step out of the allopathic model and they're starting to go, wait a minute, I think there's more to the fact that I am nature, and using nature as a way to heal my body seems and feels and is more compatible. So, breaking out of that one, breaking out from one model into another, that's where you can feel overwhelmed and not have the right answers. And you're just like, here, let me make it easy for you.
Well, we try, right?
Yeah, no, you're doing awesome. I mean, you introduced me to the Beamer machine, which I didn't even know existed. Can we just give that a little plug here? Because that was and then I started, like, when I was speaking at Trinity Health Freedom Expo, which is coming up October 24th and 25th. And I'm going to be talking about how to exit that, exit the mindset of how to make that switch from allopathic to a naturopathic mindset. And I'm going to share how I did that and raising my children in that model as well. I started to see these vendors with the Beamer machine, and I'm like, Lisa. And the more I learned about it, I'm like, she's genius. Okay. So yeah, let's plug the Beamer machine a minute.
Yeah, it is wonderful. So the Beamer, it's BEMER. So it's a bioelectronic magnetic system that creates, basically it makes your blood, in layman's terms, it makes your blood flow, increases your blood flow in your body, which creates, so your body knows a lot. It's pretty smart. So if there's havoc, there's inflammation somewhere in the body, this is going to speed up healing because it's going to go to that area and increase that blood flow. The white cells are going to go and then get to that inflammation and clear it out. And so you think about it, as we age, our blood flows slower and it kind of gets coagulated. I got to see, this was really interesting on one of the slideshows that they showed. It was a 61-year-old man, and they took his blood, just a little prick like you would, like if you're a diabetic and you're using this system, what do you call that?
The blood sugar levels, checking your blood sugar.
Yeah. So anyway, glucometer, right? And so you they stuck his finger and they put it on the slide and they showed his cells. And they were just kind of like, just kind of slowly moving around. Okay. So then he got on it for 8 minutes. They put him on it for 8 minutes. And they pricked his finger again, put it back on a slide. And his cells were like jumping around like young little kids, So it was like amazing how, so they suggest, I should say, 8 minutes twice a day for your body. So it helps keep the flow going for about 16 hours at a time. But in that time, there's so much healing that's done as your body, as all the vasa motion, your microcirculatory circulatory system is increased by 33% on average. So it's pretty amazing. If you think about a lot of diseases, it's circulation. And so if you can increase your circulation, you can get rid of a lot of problems.
That's amazing. Talk about a quick lunch hour boost. Every person has 8 minutes in their day. I don't care who you are. Every person has 8 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very relaxing too.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm sitting here going, okay, can I make it in to see her? Can I get 16 minutes just on general principle? But
yes.
That is.
Yeah, and even for injuries too. I have, some kids that are like soccer players or whatever, they get a sprain, and gosh, they've been able to play, pretty immediately. So it's kind of interesting how, and I watched this one woman, she had fallen off of a ladder. She had the worst hematoma I've ever seen. Like her leg, all the way from her bottom down to her knee, was black. It was terrible. So I had her on, and it was like a huge lump too. She fell pretty hard. And it was so strange to see how the bruise, it never reached that yellow point, how it turns. Because it like made everything circulate so much faster. Like it just got rid of the bruise so fast.
That is crazy. Amazing. Oh my God. I wish, and now I'm like thinking about all the 50,000 times and bruises I get. They're pretty horrible. Why did I not know about that? No,
Yeah.
that's so great. So people can find you. If you have an autoimmune disease, please, please reach out to Lisa. Lisa Eveleth, Eveleth, and livefitwithlupus.org.
Got it.
All right. Anywhere else that we can find you?
Um, well, I have my personal, pardon me?
I was like Facebook and
Yeah, Facebook. We have a Twitter account and we have Instagram, the Live Fit with Lupus, and then my personal account is Lisa McCormick Eveleth, my maiden name. So either way, you can private message me. That's fine. I don't mind. And I get the info at livefitwithlupus.org or Lisa at livefitwithlupus.org. So either way, or you can go to our website and contact us too. And
yeah, I think that's really great. Please reach out to Lisa. Autoimmune diseases, you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to struggle alone. You don't have to struggle at all sometimes, because there may be an answer that Lisa has for something that you are dealing with. And the support groups are really great. I can't wait to get those going again. I really liked being able to, come and talk and connect with everyone there. So, thank you for what you're doing in our community, Lisa, and for the things that you offer Iowans and everybody else.
Yes. Well, thank you, Joni. Thank you
Thank
so much for
Thank you.
having me and, giving a plug to Live Fit with Lupus. So
Yeah, it's an important organization. So for sure. And if you want to support Live Fit with Lupus, head on over to livefitwithlupus.org to donate, to look at the different events that we have going on throughout the years or throughout the year. And that way, you'll have your chance and opportunity to help out if you so choose. And don't forget, you can also become a Health Freedom Iowa member. You can go to healthfreedomiowa.org to learn more, to become a member, or to donate. We appreciate you tuning in this evening. Have a great night. Okay, I think we're good.